guess what month it is? It's Valentine's month. But I hope you guys are doing okay physically, mentally, and all that other good stuff. And where have I been? Where have you guys been? Who knows? Who knows? But we're back. I am so glad to be back with you guys. We've officially hit 375 subscribers. That's insane, and I'm very grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me, even though I'm so inconsistent. We're gonna work on that, I promise. Promise me some of this. Listen. Escuchando? Valentine's month, so we are going to be, you know, spreading some love, and we're going to be reacting to 3 scary horror stories on Valentine's Day, because that's showing the love. Yes, exactly. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. Disclaimer here.
Disclaimer. This video may contain imagery and /or discussion of heavy themes such as death, blood, assault, weaponry, substance abuse, and /or verbal abuse. That
message that I hope you take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. But if you're a stan, let's get into it. Okay guys, the Valentine's Day horror stories animated we're going to be watching are from the channel SSG Animations. First, go like, show them some love. Thank you guys for letting us use your content. So yeah, we give credit around here, so show them some love. Let's get into it. First animation.
That night was colder than I expected for Valentine's Day. I had stopped by Richard's house to help him with a quick errand before he went to meet Tanya in the plaza. They hadn't been able to see each other because they were too busy, but they wanted to see each other to give each other Valentine's Day gifts and spend the evening together. He was a nice guy, Richard. He always talked about Tanya as if she was the piece that made his life complete. I never fully understood that relationship, but it wasn't my...
Not bidding. Bidding is slang from Philly, meaning like not to joke on, or to like I'm just realizing that some people don't understand this. Anyways, y'all don't care about that. Why are their eyes bug-eyed?
A place to get involved. I didn't want to bother them. I just wanted to accompany my friend, say goodbye to Tanya, and leave. He was excited to surprise her. The walk to the square was quiet. We talked about the usual. Sports, work, and stuff like that.
Yo,
Richard was so animated that he didn't even notice how I couldn't help but think how empty the city was for a Sunday night. When we arrived...
Y'all peep these houses? What are they walking through? The hood? Oh my God, what is that?
The place was no different. A few lights illuminated the benches and trees, but there was hardly anyone in sight. Stay a while. You'll keep me company until Tanya arrives. We sat on a bench near the bridge while we waited for Tanya. It was then that everything started to feel weird. The place was empty for a long time. We were talking when I saw it. Someone was coming towards us, but it was...
And that's when you get off the bench and you run, dummy. Like, look at him. He not here on friendly encounters. He wants to take somebody's life, and it's all in his eyes.
Wasn't Tanya. It was a tall guy wearing a black sports jacket, walking slowly through the trees. There was no reason to notice him at first. But then I realized that his steps were too calculated, as if he didn't want to lose sight of what we were doing. Do you know him? Richard shrugged, playing it down. Probably someone out for a walk. But the man was still there, closer now, pretending to look at his phone as he approached one of the benches. I tried to ignore him. It was easy to think I was overreacting, but my gut kept screaming that something was wrong. Richard, oblivious, pulled out his phone and started texting. He must be letting Tanya know he's arrived, I thought. That's when...
He need to be letting the police know that he bought the...
The guy looked up and his eyes met mine. His expression was scary. He seemed intent on something.
Oh.
He looked at us with a determination that terrified me as he slowly approached us.
He just looked high to me, y'all.
His voice was low, almost monotonous. Richard answered but did not get up. I, for my part, preferred not to say anything. The guy stood in front of us for a moment that seemed longer than it was. Then, without another word, he turned and started walking to the other side of the park. But he didn't leave. He just hovered, like a predator waiting for just the right moment to strike. Minutes later, Richard received a phone call from Tanya. He stood up smiling. I'm going to look for her on the other side of the bridge. Are you coming or staying here? I had no reason to stay, so I followed him. We walked together down the dark path while I looked out the corner of my eye looking for the guy.
Now, why the heck would you ask that man, is he going to stay there?
Guy we had seen earlier.
Use your head.
He was. He hadn't left. He was still a few meters behind us with his hands in his pockets and his head bowed as if he were trying to go unnoticed. It's that guy again? He just laughed. What do you think he's going to do, rob us? There are two of us. No matter how big he is, he doesn't stand a chance. Richard seemed pretty sure of himself. That's good, because I was not. We got to the bridge, but no one was there. Richard checked his phone, frowning. Tanya said she'd be here. Just then, we heard rapid footsteps behind us. I turned just in time to see the man approaching at full speed. Before I could react, I felt a sharp blow to my head that left me dazed.
Oh.
My vision blurred as I fell to the ground, unable to move. From there, everything became blurry.
The friend set him up, y'all. Ain't no Tanya coming. That ain't Tanya, that's Tyrone. Yeah.
As if time had slowed down. Still on the ground, I watched as the man grabbed Richard by the neck, throwing him against one of the bridge columns.
Never mind.
Richard tried to defend himself, but he didn't have a chance.
Fight back.
The guy was stronger, and each blow he gave him was harder and more hateful than the last. I tried to scream, but my voice was barely a whisper. I struggled to get up, but the pain in my head was unbearable. I could only watch as Richard tried to escape, as he tried to use his arms to block the attacks, but the man would not stop. The last blow was the strongest. Richard fell to the ground, and the man pulled something out of his pocket. A gun. He aimed without...
Whole time, y'all. Whole time, that's the chick's guy. That's the chick's guy friend. Whole time, she set both of them up. Okay, they was walking through the hood, so I'm just assuming that's...
Without hesitation, and fired several times. Everything went silent after that. I thought he was going to come after me, but instead he put the gun away and looked around. Some people had run out when they heard the gunshots, but no one came back to help. The man was lost in the darkness, leaving Richard lying on the ground. It took me a few minutes to regain my mobility.
Wow.
When I finally got up, I ran to Richard. His body was cold, motionless. There was nothing I could do for him. Sirens began to wail in the distance, but the man was already gone. The police arrived quickly, but their efficiency was questionable. They asked me questions, too many, as I tried to explain what little I had seen. I had no idea who the attacker was or why he had done such a thing. All I knew was that Richard was dead and that nothing would ever be the same. The officers sealed off the area, but the answers didn't come. I felt helpless, carrying guilt that I didn't know if it was mine. Should I have insisted on leaving earlier? Would it have made a difference if I had? It was weeks before anything more was known about the case. The police discovered that the man who killed Richard was not a random stranger. His name was Reginald Coleman, a guy who had been hired by someone close to him to do the dirty work. The revelation came as a rude shock. Tanya had planned the whole thing. She had hired
What'd I say?
Coleman to get rid of her husband and collect the life insurance.
Wow.
I would have never imagined that someone so
Dirty
close
dog.
to Richard could
He was a
betray him
dirty
like
dog.
that. What hurt the most was remembering how Richard spoke of Tanya with such love. He had no idea what she was doing behind his back. How she was planning his death while he was trying to surprise her with a gift. Tanya was arrested and convicted, as was Coleman. But that didn't bring justice, at least not for me. Every time I walk by the park, I feel an emptiness in my stomach, a reminder of what happened that night. Richard was a good guy, and he didn't deserve that ending. I keep wondering if I could have done something to prevent it, but I know those questions lead nowhere. All that remains now are the memories, the scars, and the bitter certainty that some people are capable of the most terrible things for little money. The park is still there, empty, just like that night. Sometimes I think of Richard sitting on that bench, waiting for Tanya, not knowing that his life was about to end. And I wonder if I will ever be able to stop reliving that moment. This story is based on the real case of Reginald Coleman, who was convicted for the murder of Richard Shook on Valentine's Day, 2010.
Wow.
The crime took place at Belton Bridge Park in Hall County, Georgia, where Richard Shook was found shot to death. Investigations revealed that the murder was the result of a contract killing orchestrated by Shook's wife, Tanya Shook, who conspired with her co-worker, Lenitra Ross, and hired Reginald Coleman to carry out the murder. Reginald Coleman was arrested and charged with malice murder and 2 counts related to gun possession in connection with the alleged contract killing. He pleaded guilty to malice murder and was sentenced to life without parole. Hey guys, we know...
Now we gotta use our thinking caps. Why would you conspire with the... Why would you conspire with people to take a human's life? Are you dumb? For a little insurance money? What the freak? And all I say to the friend, even though it's fictional, get your lick back. You gotta get, in the animation version, get your lick back. You gotta get your lick back for your friend.
My name is Holly Maddox, and there are things about my life that I wish I had never lived. What I'm about to tell you is not just a cautionary tale. It's a raw truth that still haunts me. A reminder of what it means to fall into the hands of someone who doesn't know the difference between love and absolute control. I met Ira in 1974. He was charismatic.
Why they look like they don't belong in the same universe or something? Like they from, like, I don't know, like this is a crossover episode. I feel like I don't know how to feel about this. Like if you, yeah.
A self-proclaimed guru of the green movement, and with an energy that gripped everyone in the room. His talk of social change and renewable energy captivated me. I was young and idealistic, and saw him in the possibility of doing something important with my life. But his charm was a weapon, a tool that had a methodical control and emotional violence that no one could foresee. At first, everything seemed perfect. Ira encouraged me to read more and to question the system. But little by little, his words became less about the world and more about how I should behave. If I disagreed with him, it was because I didn't understand his vision. If I went out with friends, it was because I didn't spend enough time with him. It was a slow change, like a drop piercing the stone. By 1977, our relationship was broken, but Ira wouldn't accept it. I tried to walk away several times, but he would always find a way to manipulate me into going back. Until one day I decided no more. I left without warning, leaving most of my things behind. Little did I know, that decision would mark the beginning of my worst nightmare. A few months after I left him, Ira started calling me constantly. At first, they were tearful messages asking for a second chance, but when I didn't answer, the calls became threatening. He said he was the only person who could understand me, that without him I was nothing. That I was never going to be anything. Doomed to die like a heathen who had the chance to do something great, but didn't take it for fear of love. One night, while I was in my apartment in New York, I got a call from a friend who still lived in Philadelphia. She told me that
Shout out Philly, okay. And we played a Super Bowl. I'm posting this before the Super Bowl, y'all. On everything, if we don't win, on everything, I'm gonna tear up this channel. On everything.
Ira had been asking about me, and that I looked faded and more erratic than ever. That was enough to scare me. I changed my routine and avoided places where I thought he might find me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. One day, when I got home, I found a box in front of my door. It had no return address, but I knew who it was from. Inside was a lock of hair, the necklace I had given him for our first year together, and a note that said, "You will always be mine."
No, we're not letting that slide.
Lock of hair, the necklace I had given him for our first year together, and a note.
You are always be mine. Yeah, the boy can't even spell. You thought he was the best thing that ever happened to you, sis? I'm glad you stood up a little bit.
That said, "You will always be mine." I reported it to the police, but they didn't have enough evidence to act. A week later, on February 14th, I was kidnapped. I was walking home with the groceries. I was tired and hadn't received any messages from Ira for a while, which calmed me down a bit and made me think that maybe the police were right. He had just gotten bored. I had no doubt that he had thought of me. After all, it was Valentine's Day. But maybe he had decided to move on with his life. I was walking into my house when someone ran up to me. He was very fast and I didn't recognize him. I just felt someone put something up my nose. I unconsciously breathed it in, and a few seconds later, I became very sleepy. I was passing out. After that, I remember the sound of footsteps in the hallway before everything went black. I woke up bound hand and foot in a place that smelled musty and confining. It was a basement. There was a dirty mattress in one corner, a table with rusty tools, and a light that flickered as if it was about to go out. Ira was there, sitting in front of me with a smile that made me shiver. I knew you.
I know he a draw. I know he a 2D animation, but like...
Come back to me, Holly. You just needed a little push. He was talking very calmly, as if this was an everyday talk. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry and every word was an effort. Why are you doing this? Because you have to understand we're one. The world will never understand, but we're different.
Boy, she don't want to be one with no dummy. You can't even spell. Can't even spell.
You are here because you belong to me. Your body is not yours. You are now a part of something higher. I tried to untie myself, but the ropes were too strong. Every time I tried, he laughed. Don't waste your energy, Holly. You're gonna need all your strength for what's coming. What do you mean? I'm gonna make you my martyr. Days turned into weeks. I replayed with my mind, making me question everything. He would tell me that no one was looking for me, that I had disappeared and the world had moved on. He would give me small rations of food and water, just enough to keep me alive. There were times when he would try to be tender. He would bring my things from the apartment, as if he wanted to recreate a twisted version of our life together. But then, when I refused, he would transform. He would yell at me, hit me, then cry like a child begging for forgiveness. It was an endless cycle of manipulation and violence. Only one thing always remained the same. I was tied down. The days became longer and longer. I felt more and more surrender. Until one day, a glimmer of hope appeared. While he was away, I found a loose nail in the mattress. I spent hours untying the strings, praying he wouldn't come back before I was done. Finally, I managed to get loose. I could barely walk for lack of strength, but I couldn't waste the opportunity. I climbed the stairs carefully, trying not to make a sound. The basement door was locked, but I found a metal bar that I used to force it open. It took me several tries, but it finally gave way. As I came out...
Yeah. We know who the smart one was in a relationship. You ain't gotta tell us, sister.
I saw him. He was in the kitchen, his back to me. I didn't think at all. I just ran to the front door. But the noise alerted him. Ira screamed my name and ran after me. I reached the street screaming, calling for help. But it was an isolated area and no one was there. He reached me and grabbed me by the hair, pulling me to the ground. I fought with all my strength, biting, scratching. I managed to stop him for seconds, but it was obvious that he was the one in control. I ran as fast as I could and did something he definitely didn't expect. He always counted on me to be fearful, to not take any risks. That was how he kidnapped me, how I could never get away from him. But this time it would be different. Instead of escaping down the road, I threw myself down the slope of the forest. I tried at that speed. I fell and my body rolled, bruising and cutting my whole body. When I reached the bottom, I was injured and battered. I was malnourished. I could barely walk from so many days of eating so little. But none of that mattered. I was alive, and he had not dared to follow me. I walked for several minutes until I found a nearby village. The first thing I did was ask them for a phone number to call the police. Hours later, the police found the house and discovered everything. The tools along with the notes he had written, planning every step of my kidnapping. But Ira was gone. It was weeks before he was caught in a...
You see how they all... No, we're not letting that slide. They all from different, like, universes. Like, this is the biggest crossover. This is the biggest crossover episode I've seen since Gumball and My Little Pony, y'all.
What? Bro, what are you talking?
It was weeks before he was caught in a small town in Canada. He tried to justify himself, saying he had done it all for love. But no one believed him. He was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Years have passed since then. I talk about my experience so that other people understand that love is not control. and that no one has the right to possess another person. And even though Ira is behind bars, I'll always live with the shadow of what he did to me. But I'll also live with the strength I discovered in myself, a strength I never knew I had, but that now defines me. This story is based on the tragic case of Holly Maddox, a young woman whose life was brutally cut short in 1977. In this reimagined version of events, Holly survived after being abducted on Valentine's Day, escaping her captor and starting anew. However, reality tells a much darker tale. On Valentine's Day of that year, Holly disappeared, lured by her former boyfriend Ira Einhorn, a self-proclaimed counterculture icon. Months after her disappearance, Holly's decomposing body was found stuffed in a steamer trunk inside Einhorn's Philadelphia apartment. The trunk had been concealed for over a year, with Einhorn attempting to mask the stench of balls and air fresheners. Following his arrest, Einhorn managed to escape the U.S. and spent decades as a fugitive in Europe, living under false pretenses. He was eventually extradited in 2001 and convicted of Holly's murder. Her story serves as a harrowing reminder of how even a day associated with love and affection can become a prelude to unimaginable tragedy.
Serious? No more shout out Philly, y'all. This ain't shout out.
Last year on Valentine's Day, my fiancée Rhea died in a car crash. She and I were engaged for 4 months and dating for 6 years. She was my high school sweetheart, and we were about to tie the knot in a few weeks. But her death devastated me. I was in depression for several months and found it hard to cope with her loss. Now I'm a lot better. My family and friends keep suggesting I start looking forward to loving again. I'm just 26 after all, and I have a long life ahead of me. It was the 13th of February, and I remember thinking that it would be exactly 1 year since Rhea died. But instead of dwelling on her loss, I decided to give this new girl I met in my office a try. That evening, I came back home from work. I decided to cook myself.
Who he feeling like with that little suit boy, little hair slick back? Who you feeling like? You thought he was smooth criminal? No, it ain't. He looked like, he looks like the Chucky doll, Chucky's son.
Dinner and go to bed. That's when I got a text. My first thought was that it must be from her, the girl I was going out with the next day, Serena. The text said, "I miss you, baby," and it was sent from Rhea's number.
Not them rhyming. Oh, he's sick. He's sick. Serena, Rhea, you know what you're doing, brother. You're sick.
How was that possible? We disconnected her number a few months ago after her passing. How was I getting a text from her number? Did someone else get her number by chance? Yes, that must be the case. It's impossible to receive a message from her number otherwise. Dismissing the whole ordeal, I started with the dinner preparation.
Oh, that looked good.
Big bag, big bag. A few moments later, there was another message. This time it was a voice recording again from Rhea's number. Looks like the number was taken by a woman trying to get in touch with her lover. I must text her back and let her know this is the wrong number. Not to mention, seeing Rhea's name pop up on my phone after almost a year was a bit difficult for me. I didn't want to spiral into my depression again. Definitely not when I've struggled to get myself out of it in the first place. But it won't hurt to listen to the voicemail, right? I thought and played it.
Hi, babe. It's me, Rhea. I hope you haven't forgotten about me yet. I just wanted to wish you a happy Valentine's Day in advance. I know I couldn't wish you last time, given the circumstances. But...
And that's when you gotta block numbers, because... What? You telling me my dead friend is... What? And you know what? It's AI, bro. I swear, everything is AI. AI is taking over everything, including relationships. It's getting sick. You can literally copy and paste somebody's voice.
But I want you to know that I still love you.
I could forget everything in the world, but not that voice. It was Rhea.
It's AI.
How was it possible? I had no words. Saying I was shocked would be an understatement. I didn't know what to do. And to be honest, I was a bit scared too. I ignored the message and put my phone aside. I started with my dinner. Almost an hour passed without any new message. I plated my food and moved into the living room to turn on the TV. That's when my phone buzzes again. I was afraid to check the message, but I did it anyway. The name on my screen is Serena. I felt a bit relieved. It's the girl from work with whom I have a date tomorrow. The Rivera restaurant at 7 in the evening? Looked like Serena wanted to confirm our date. I texted her back that I would be there. A few seconds later, I got another text, thinking it would be Selena's. I didn't check the name. I just...
Bro says Selena. He getting his girls mixed up. You gotta chill, brother. Chill. Chill, it's Serena. Imagine you just having a conversation with her. Oh yeah, Rhea. Hey, I mean Serena. Sorry, it just, you know, Rhea, short for Rena, you know, it's a cute little pet name.
Just opened the text. What the text said was unbelievable. Am I that replaceable, Martin? Whoever was texting me knew my name. This was definitely not a wrong number. This was intentional. These messages were meant for me. I ignored the message too and ate dinner. However, I suddenly felt heavy for some reason, like there was someone except me in the room. It was weird, given I was the only one in my apartment.
It could be Serena, it could be Selena, it could be Rhea. We missing the Lenas.
I watched my TV, but from the corner of my eye, I saw a black shadowy figure of a woman walking towards my bedroom. I thought I was hallucinating. Was this real? I knew the next day was going to be tough for me, so my mind was playing tricks on me. But just a few minutes later, from the corner of my eye, I again saw the woman walk out of my bedroom. Now, she was approaching the couch, but I was too terrified to turn and look at her. I was staring at the TV as she was coming near the couch. Suddenly, the couch dipped, and she sat right beside me. Black shadow woman was right next to me on the couch, and I had no courage to look at her.
Why are you ignoring me?
That's when I turned.
What'd I say? I knew that joint. I gotta do my Duolingo, y'all.
I had to. How could I not? That was the voice of Rhea. But as soon as I turned, expecting it to be my dead fiancé, somehow, there was a demonic entity that looked exactly like her, that had red, hollow eyes. She was wearing a black wedding dress, and had a black veil over her face. The last thing I remembered was her haunting eyes staring at me as I passed out. Currently, I'm in a hospital. My elder brother said that he found me in my apartment passed out on the couch on Valentine's Day. It's the 16th of February now, which means I passed out for 3 days.
Dang.
I tried to tell them what I saw, but none of them believed it. My doctors think I overdosed on my depression and sleeping.
Am I tripping? Did his teeth just go from yellow to freaking to white? I swear, the brother you know what?
Pills and passed out. But I clearly remember not taking a single pill that day. So how is it possible? The more I try to convince my family that I saw Rhea's ghost that night, the more they all think that I'm going crazy. How can I be crazy? I don't understand why no one believes me. So to prove that I'm not lying or making it up, I asked for my brother to get my phone. But he said that my phone was lying on the floor next to me, broken, as if someone had smashed it in anger. I did not do that. But my family and the doctors say that maybe I was so depressed and angry that I may have smashed my own phone. This is all so confusing. Do you at least believe in my story? Or do you think I'm crazy too? Will I ever be able to have a happy Valentine's Day?
No.
Anyways, mis amores, that was for Valentine's Day stories reaction. I found it interesting. I think people are insane. You know, we live in a crazy, crazy world. So that being said, I hope you guys stay safe and physically and mentally well. Thank you guys so much for watching. And like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Show your girl some support, some love. Let's get to 500 subscribers by June. By June. Okay, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Happy Valentine's week, day. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.